Oh, great. The guy with the helmet cam.
Perfect, sir.
Perfect. Leave it in cruise. Everything right. Yep, 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 yep. Okay. A little more to the left on the aileron. Pretty good there.
Altitude 383 feet.
Really? I think that's a lie. This Freewing F-18 is so much easier to get dialed in and fly than the E-flite F-16, the 80mm. Even though, just like the F-16, it needed a lot of left trim dialed in. Half as much as the F-16, but still a lot.
Time remaining 1 minute. Altitude 382 feet. Timer stop. Timer start.
Having actual flaps instead of flaperons made it so much less complicated and easier to fly as well as easier to land.
Timer stop. Timer start. Timer stop.
No reverse on this one.
Wonderful. Nice landing. This cameraman sucks. I was only guessing. I could not because of it's so blurry, right?
Yeah,
Timer start.
So you probably got better footage.
I might have. I don't know.
Timer stop.
I forgot to actually put focus on where my head was pointing. That was a nice landing though.
Keep texting, right?
This is much easier to land than the F-16.
Landing flaps.
I may have to turn my gains down a little bit.
Okay. What?
Takeoff flaps.
Oh, she looks
Flaps
good.
up.
Flew good. All
She
good.
did really well, yeah. You notice, though, it does like to tip on that downwind or the base leg. I really have to keep, that's why I overshoot the
Yeah.
approach, because if I slow down too much, it does that.
Yeah. Okay. So that means you go wider than usual, or what do you think?
I'm going to have to go wider or faster, or wider and faster
Yeah.
than usual, just on the approach, just on the
Okay.
turning for the approach. Everything else it seems to be fine.
Oh well. Mr. Jet.
Yeah. I have an AR8360T 8-channel safe AS3X receiver in there with the diversity antenna. I put it up front because I did some rewiring and routing, and I did a couple mods up here. And there really is no place for that when you get the center of gravity where you want it, no place back there for the receiver unless you're going to put it below the floor. I wasn't about to do that. I like having access to my receivers. So I opted to move it way up front here. That's not recommended by the receiver manual for gyros. They want it closer to the center of gravity back here. But that wasn't going to happen. So I moved it up here. We'll see how it works. I also added a remote receiver antenna, and I got it mounted to the sidewall right here, well above the battery. But there's no other place of putting it away from the receiver to make it useful unless you're back here by the battery. So we'll see how that works out. I did the mod for the battery tray. I put the I cut out an extended battery tray out of that 3-ply plywood. Made it a little longer, screwed it into the gear strut so the gear has some reinforcement. I did that. I also did the mod, which was really already done by Freewing, for the housing cover for the bearing for the elevator back there. I put the mod that RC Informer had designed up with the plywood as well in there, just to give it an extra security, but it doesn't really need it with the mod that Freewing put on it. I got the CG set right about here. That first tick mark is, I think, 100. The second tick mark back is 105. The manual calls for 88, but you have to do a whole ton of research in the forums and YouTube to really get an understanding where people like the CG, and it's almost unanimously everybody likes it somewhere between 100 and 110. They'll tell you if you're going to start it out forward because you want to be forward like the manual, start it out at around 100. Then most people sell for somewhere between 105 and 110. I'm going to probably try to do around 105 to start, but it's hard to tell exact where it is. It's very sensitive. So we'll see how that flies. The battery is a 5200 milliamp hour Electron Pro 6S LiPo. I think it's got about a 50C on it, but we know the C rating, how that goes these days.